Okay, I'm hoping we're live now. I'm hoping everything's working. I'm hoping you can see the screen, i.e. my laptop screen. Hello. I'm hoping you can see me in the camera. I'm hoping you can hear me. I'm hoping the audio is synced up correctly. In which case the audio, it should say 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, etc. Right, so do the usual spiel. If you could just let me know everything's working. If the camera's too small, let me know, and I'll try and make it just a little bit bigger. It can't be too big because it can't take up too much of the screen. If the audio sounds crackly, let me know. If you can't hear me, let me know. If it doesn't sound like I'm in sync, like I say, we're doing the timer thing, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. So hopefully we should be in sync. Okay, it sounds like, well, I just clicked on the video and I've just listened to some of it, and it sounds like we're in sync, and it sounds like the audio is coming through very good. So just quickly put a link in the Discord, and then how did he spell it? Hope I haven't missed anyone obvious. Right, so I have sort of an itinerary set up, but sort of not, because this was slightly on the cuff. I kind of only came up with this idea on Friday because it suddenly popped into my head about the dates. But that's actually still more prep than I did for the Rooster Teeth live stream. So hopefully we don't run out of water, and hopefully my voice doesn't become crackly and horrible. Yeah, so we might as well just get going. It sounds like everything's working, so we might as well not waste any more time setting up, doing our pre-prep, and we might as well just go straight into it. So, hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whenever you're watching this, if you're watching this live or watching it in the future. This is just another one of these little impromptu face cam streams, laptop streams. I've kept saying I wanted to do more of these, and I haven't. But I did want to do this one because yesterday, the 8th of October, marked a big milestone for me personally as a fan, because it was the 9-year anniversary of Jurgen Klopp being appointed the Liverpool manager. Liverpool Football Club being one of the biggest football clubs, or soccer. I'm going to be saying football, I'm not going to be saying soccer, so we're just going to get that out of the way right now. One of the biggest soccer clubs. Yep, oh my god, we're off to a great start. I just said I wasn't going to say soccer. One of the biggest football clubs on the planet, one of the biggest football clubs in England, and 8th of October 2015, Jurgen Klopp was appointed the Liverpool manager on that day 9 years ago yesterday. I would have done this yesterday, but didn't have enough time. So instead, we're doing this today. I've just realised I need to get the live chat up so I can keep track of it. I'm going to have it on my phone once I find it. Right. Okay. Sorry. So why is this important? What does this matter? Well, like I said, it's a big deal for me as a Liverpool fan. because so I've only really been following football since about 2006 when I watched the World Cup in Germany. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't until 2007. The 2007-2008 season, I believe, is the first season where I properly got into watching Premier League football, and specifically Liverpool. My dad was a Liverpool fan. His family is all northern based, and vast majority of them are Liverpool fans. So that's how I became a Liverpool fan through that. And I knew it at the time. I knew Jurgen Klopp was a pretty big deal, pretty successful manager. Building up a reputation as a pretty well-known manager, but when he was appointed in 2015, I had a feeling that we'd maybe struck a coup here with getting a top-quality manager like him, but I didn't know how good he would end up being. And that's kind of the point of this stream, because not only is this the 9-year anniversary, it's the first year of the anniversary since Jurgen has left. So he left the club at the end of this year, like this season, 23-24. He left in May or June 2024. He chose to resign. So it felt... I did think about doing this live stream back in June before the Euros, but then things just happened, which meant that just... I wasn't able to do it. And also we did the football predictions instead with Ump and Z. So when I knew I wasn't doing it in the summer, I thought, okay, we'll do it on the anniversary of his appointment, since, as I said, this is the first year of the anniversary since he left. Anyway, sorry, I'm waffling a little bit here. So he became the manager in 2015 at a point when Liverpool optimism amongst the fan base was pretty darn low. And I'm going to explain why. So the way this stream is going to work is we're going to talk about season on season. We're not going to try and go into too much detail except for a couple of seasons specifically. We're going to do a season on season breakdown of Jurgen's time in charge of Liverpool, and then I found a couple of quizzes and a couple of tier lists that we can do as well, to just to wrap it up. And I'm going to be talking about my experience as a fan living through all of these different seasons and with Jurgen in charge, with the good and the occasional bad. I will also try and interact with the live chat when I can, but obviously I'm going to be talking quite a lot, so I'll do my best. But before we get into 2015 specifically, we've got to look back at, well, I was going to say 2, technically 3 dates prior to 2015. Starting with this one, 1990. This is a significant year because for a long time, this was the last time Liverpool won a English League title or English League Championship, whatever you want to call it. So the Premier League as we know it now used to be called the First Division or Division 1. And in the late 70s, well, mid to late 70s / the whole of the 80s, Liverpool was without a doubt the dominant side in English football, culminating in this league title. Yapper. Yes, I am a yapper, Matt. That's what this stream will be. 1990, culminating in 1990 with a 18th league title in their history, which at the time was a record. What we didn't know back then, and certainly I didn't know it because I wasn't born in 1990, was that this would be the last league title Liverpool would win for a long time. And we've got all the different seasons here to prove it. So the Premier League started in 92, and very quickly Man United became the dominant force. Other sides won, But if you see here, this is the table to be looking at. Liverpool, 6th and 8th the first 2 seasons that the Premier League came into existence. A little bit better, but not challenging. Then 7th. We're going to scroll down a bit. 2nd, the first real title challenge they put up. They won a cup treble here. But anyway, sorry, this is all waffle. Basically, Liverpool had dropped off from being the dominant force that it was, to the point that probably not until 2015. There probably wasn't any periods before then, maybe in the mid-90s, but I can't say for certain because I wasn't born. Well, I'd only just been born. I was born in 94, so I didn't experience any of that. But certainly by the time 2015 came around, Liverpool had faded into utter obscurity with their importance in the league in terms of challenging for a league title. They put up a couple of challenges, second here. They were pretty unlucky not to win the championship this year. But now I want to highlight this second date here, 2013-14. Now this was the first season that for me. This was the first season since I became a Liverpool supporter where I really thought we were going to win the league. I sort of do have memories of it in 2009, but it was very faded. I can't remember the whole season, to be honest. 2013-14 was the real first standout season for me. Not just because we challenged, but also because of the fact that we were so entertaining to watch. This table here, we scored 101 goals in the league, and we were just wiping teams out. We were just anything that teams tried to do against us, we would just outscore them. You think you can score more than us? We'll score more than you. We'll win all the games. I think we went on a streak of like 11 wins in a row in the second half of the season, which really pushed us into title contention. But the biggest problem is this number next to it, 50 goals conceded. If you want to win a league title, I can't really compare other sports to this because it doesn't work the same way in like American football, if you're not a soccer fan. 50 league goals, you can't be winning league titles if you're conceding 50 goals. Scoring over 100 goals is going to give you a great chance. But it doesn't matter if you're scoring 100 goals or maybe even 150 goals. If you're conceding that many goals, you either need to be a really good team or you need to get lucky to win the league. And although we were wiping teams off the board by scoring 4, 5, 6 in games against teams to win matches, ultimately it was in the key moments that cost us. And it's the reason why we finished second. Luis Suarez was also a huge factor in us challenging for the league that year. And I don't know what this star symbol means, but 31 league goals. I think he got something like 12 assists. So that's 43 goal contributions in. I think he only played 33 games because he missed the first 5 games of the season for a ban from him biting a player. We're not going to get into that. 43 goal contributions in 33 league games. Probably one of the best individual performances any player has ever produced in Premier League history for any team. And he was without doubt the catalyst. Like, obviously he wasn't the only factor. Daniel Sturridge scored over 20 goals. Steven Gerrard, icon, Liverpool legend. He stepped up as the captain, scored a lot of important goals and led the team. Raheem Sterling, a young 19-year-old, I believe he was at the time, started chipping in with some important goals. But ultimately, all of this wasn't enough and we came second. So you'd think at that point, Liverpool are back on the high. I also haven't even mentioned the manager, Brendan Rodgers. Young manager, a little bit out of his depth, perhaps. Didn't have the know-how for what to do in the key moments when you're challenging for a title. But he did still play a big part in us. I know a lot of fans will argue that it's just down to Suarez, but you can't get that close without a semi-decent manager. And I do rate Rodgers. But I digress. You'd think after 2014, you'd think Liverpool are on the up. They're now back into challenging for league titles. Maybe going to finally end this long drought for a league title. No. So if we look at the next season, 2014-15, they dropped from 2nd to 6th. Luis Suarez is sold to Barcelona for 75 million. So we're now banking on Daniel Sturridge, who scored over 20 goals. Daniel Sturridge spends most of the season injured. We use the 75 million really badly. We buy a lot of players. In fact, this is probably the right time to jump into the individual seasons. Well, someone's gone and added this bit in, but we won't worry about that. We spent the money really poorly. The 75 million we got. I would say the only... well, actually, there's a couple of signings in here that are not bad. I was just going to say Adam Lallana, but Adam Lallana, I think, was a good buy. He came good. Emre Can, I wouldn't say he was bad. He was okay. Same as Lovren. I'd call him okay, but for 20 million, maybe not. Divock Origi was a good signing. We didn't know it at the time. But everyone else on this list, Ricky Lambert, it was only 4 million. It was a poor decision to buy him. A 30-something-year-old striker who only scored 3 goals for us the whole season. Markovic, young player, not good enough. Alberto Moreno, really funny guy, terrible defender, and he's left back. And absolutely the worst of them all, Mr. Mario Balotelli, Super Mario, causes controversy wherever he goes, and sure enough, he did the same thing at Liverpool. He scored 4 goals for us in all competitions. He only scored 1 goal in the league, and he probably goes down as one of the worst signings in modern Liverpool history. So we're already off to a bad start. And if we look quickly at the results, it said we came 6th. We lost 12 games, double the amount of games we lost last year. We had a 49-goal drop. We scored 101 goals in the season before. We only scored 52. It doesn't help when the 4 players you've got as strikers, one of them, who's your star striker, spends most of the season injured, and the other 3 just aren't good enough. But this all culminated in... Oh, and also... Steven Gerrard, club legend, Liverpool captain, decided in January 2015, decided that he was going to leave the club after 17 years in the first team. That caused a lot of issues as well. But it all came to a forefront. Actually, so, okay, you can sort of see it here. So we actually we started the season all right with this win, but it's very mixed to start the season. Then 3 losses in a row, absolute disaster. Another loss here, but then we went on this huge unbeaten run, which seemed to put us back in the fight to get into the top 4, with 9 games to go, and then 5 losses in the last 9 games ruined that. And to be honest, we were probably pretty lucky to come 6th. Who was nearest us? Southampton, and they were only 2 points behind us. But the absolute worst of this came in the final game, which was a 6-1 away defeat to Stoke. Steven Gerrard's last ever game, and I believe it's still Liverpool's worst or biggest ever defeat in league history. So you'd think the writing's on the wall for Brendan Rodgers, the manager. And it was. It definitely was. Wonder if we can see... Oh, also, we got back into the Champions League, which is the big European competition. We didn't do well in that either. We didn't get out of the groups. We got dumped into the second European League, which is the Europa League. And then I'm pretty sure we got knocked out in the first round of that as well. Albeit it was on penalties. We do have a top scorers here. So Steven Gerrard was our top scorer with 13 goals and 9 in the league. The fact that your captain, a mid-30s player, is your top scorer and your best player that season says it all about how poor the team was. Yeah, but the writing's on the wall, basically, for Brendan Rodgers. You'd think maybe he's in serious danger of getting sacked, but he does survive into the next season, which is where we're going to go. We do make some pretty shrewd signings, actually. I think there's a lot of signings here that people forget are Brendan Rodgers signings that go on to have a huge impact on us, for us, in the Jurgen Klopp era, which we're about to get into. Joe Gomez, James Milner, Roberto Firmino especially. But Rodgers starts the season in charge. It goes okay, I think. Certainly across the first 3 games, it's not that bad. But then, hold on, let me just find it. Here we go. So first 3 games, not that bad. Then the 2 defeats crop in. A 3-0 home defeat against West Ham, and then a 3-1 away defeat to Man United, our arch rivals. Suddenly, the pressure is right back on Rodgers again, only 5 games into the season. We then have a home draw, I believe, against Norwich. Yep. Bounce back to get a win against Villa. But at this point, the pressure is really mounting on Rodgers. We also started our Europa League campaign. Let me just scroll to that quickly. We drew all the first 2 games. And it's this one here, the second game, where the tables really start to turn for Rodgers. A second draw in a row to go with the league results. As I recall, at the end of that game, the fans were booing for Rodgers to go. And sure enough, game 8 of the season, a 1-1 draw away to our local rivals, Everton. Winning the game, concede a goal, ends up as a draw. And then later that day or evening, Rodgers is sacked. And as we already highlighted earlier, this was on the 4th of October, as we highlighted at the start. 4 days later, on the 8th of October, Jurgen Klopp is appointed as the Liverpool manager. And the rest, as they say, is history. 3 Champions League finals, including winning the Champions League, the European competition in 2019, and winning the Premier League in 2020. We're going to get onto all this. He won every trophy possible for us in his time as Liverpool manager, except for the Europa League, but that was largely because we barely played in it under Klopp. No one at all thought that that would have been possible when he came in with the state that the club was in when Rodgers left. A lot of Liverpool fans have a lot of hate for Brendan Rodgers for the position Liverpool were in when he left, in terms of the quality of the players and the fact that the general style of play was no longer good enough to challenge at the top. But Klopp came in, and you know we're not going to skim through all these. We'll just refer to this. So he came in at this game here. They're 10th in the league at the time when he's appointed, and for the most part, it doesn't really get that much better. The highest at any point Liverpool is in charge. The highest point Liverpool get at any point is 6th, and that was only for 1 week. They really do generally hover between 7th and 8th, 7th, 8th, and 9th mainly for the whole season. It's very much up and down. I mean, what have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 losses. 8 losses in his 30 games in charge. The big thing, I think, was the fact that it wasn't his team. He came mid-season, so he couldn't buy anyone. And he had to just work with a Brendan Rodgers team. You know, actually, we'll probably look at it next season in terms of the players he gets rid of. I do want to highlight, though, very quickly. Where is it? Here we go. No, hold on, where is it? Okay, I was looking for Stephen Corker. Here he is, Stephen Corker. So he makes 2 signings in January, which is not usually a good time to make signings, but he does sign Stephen Corker, who's a defender that's really just, his career's gone nowhere prior to this, and it's gone nowhere since he left Liverpool. But he joins for a 6-month loan as a defender, and pretty much his entire Liverpool career he spends getting subbed on as a striker, even though he's a defender. He just gets put on in the last minute and gets told by Klopp, win a header, see if you can get us a goal, because we're desperate, Stephen. But I digress. Sorry, getting back on point. The big thing with Klopp here was he wanted to build his style of play. So if I go back to this, I highlighted this earlier. I just want to highlight this line here. So Klopp is a notable user of Gegen pressing, which basically means if your team loses the ball, you get it back as quickly as possible. You charge at the players, you run at them, you kick them, you tackle them, you do whatever you have to do to get the ball back as quickly as possible. And that was mainly his goal in that first season, to implement that style into Liverpool Football Club, into the Liverpool team. And really, he was probably also using it as a way to figure out which players could play that style of football, and the ones that couldn't, you're out in the first summer, in the first opportunity you can to get rid of them. So yeah, but that did still bring with it some incredible results. So his first win in the Premier League as Liverpool manager, this was a 3-1 away win against Chelsea, who were the champions at the time. They were going through their own struggles, but it was his first win, and it was a very impressive win. The very next win he got, 4-1 away at City. I'm pretty sure that's the last time we've beaten City in the league. We absolutely dominated that game. They did not expect it. I didn't expect it. We just wiped the floor with them. We were 3-0 up at half-time, I think, with our playing this. I'm not going to call it gegenpressing. It's also referred to as heavy metal football. We'll just call it pressing. This pressing game, City players just weren't expecting it, and we just dominated them, kept winning the ball back high, and scored 3 really good goals from it. Roberto Firmino scores his first goal in that game. And then there's a variety of other wins, but I think the other big one that I want to highlight is the 5-4 insanity that we get when away at Norwich. I'm not sure which game it is. Is it this one? Nope. Is it this one? Yep. Okay, it's this one. Let me just find it here. 5-4 win. So we're 1-0 up in this game. We're then 3-1 down. We bounce back to be 4-3 up. We can see the goal in the 92nd minute and it looks like we're going to get a 4-4 draw. Klopp is pissed on the touchline. He's fuming. And then Adam Lallana pops up with a 95th minute winner. And it is one of the most insane endings to a football match I've ever seen in my life. And this was at the very beginning of Klopp's time in charge. Also, shout out Vulcan. The 6-0 away win at Villa. Back when Villa were a pile of dog shit. But I digress. The other big highlight from this season was the fact that we ended up getting to the final of the Europa League, which this is only the second tier European competition. But it was still a big deal. It's a big deal for any football club to get to the final of a European competition. Sadly, though, we could not get over the line against the Sevilla side that was managed by Unai Emery, who is now in charge of Aston Villa. We also got to the final of the League Cup, but we lost that to Man City. Klopp had a bit of a reputation for being the nearly man. He could get clubs to cup finals and then couldn't win the cup finals. But this is something that this is a tag that he will get rid of later on in his time. I've spent a little bit too long here in the 2016 season, so we're going to move on. We're going to move on to 2017. So this is the first full season that Klopp is in charge of the club. He's had a full summer and pre-season to get the players he wants, get rid of the players that he doesn't want, or at least get rid of some of them, and work out which players he wants to build the team around. So he brings in a wide variety of different players. Some of these have varying levels of success. Joel Matip, a great signing. Wijnaldum, a great signing in midfield. The first big one, Sadio Mane. Sadio Mane, the first piece of the jigsaw in our front line. I suppose technically Roberto Firmino, it was the first piece, but he was already there when Klopp arrived. Sadio Mane was the first piece of the jigsaw that Klopp bought. And he was really probably... It was between him or Adam Lallana who was the biggest factor for the success we had this season. But we'll also highlight some of the players that he got rid of. So Jose Enrique, he'd been there for several years, although he'd become a non-existent player at this point. Martin Skrtel, he'd been at Liverpool for 8 years. Klopp showed no mercy. He was out the door. Joe Allen, he was a Brendan Rodgers signing. Joe Allen joined Liverpool the same time Brendan Rodgers joined. Got rid of him. Benteke, he was supposed to be our star striker. He was bought the year before. Klopp didn't rate him, didn't think he was good enough to play his style of football, dumped him off to Crystal Palace. And then there should also be, yes, here he is, Mamadou Sakho. So this one was a very interesting one. So Sakho was originally going to be part of the team in 2016-17, but Klopp did not like his attitude. He thought his attitude stank. He thought he was not a team player. He thought he was lazy. And ultimately, he had one too many incidents where he was late for team meetings or he was like not following the rules properly. So Klopp mercilessly got rid of him. That's really what I wanted to highlight. There's not really a lot to look at this year. Klopp's goal wasn't to challenge for the league. It was to get back into the Champions League, the elite European competition, because that's what a lot of clubs do. Really, they build themselves up first by getting into the top 4, and then they build on that to challenge for the league title. Unless your name is Leicester City. That's a one and done. And he did achieve that goal. We finish in the top 4 in his first season in charge. We do it. We get it. We finish ahead of Arsenal by 1 point. The first time Arsenal did not qualify for the top 4 under Arsene Wenger. There's not really a lot to say about it. Only 6 losses, tons of wins, a few draws, but for the most part, pretty darn solid across the whole season. There was a little bit of a blip in the middle of the season, January/early February. We only won 1 game out of 7. But apart from that, in fact, actually, yeah, if you look at it, so apart from the first, so once we get into the top 4 here, we're in the top 4. We actually go top of the league for 1 week. We're in the top 4 for the rest of the season, apart from 1 week here. And that's it, yeah. Hello, Cyan. Pleasure to see you. I don't actually know who's still in here, so I hope this is already not boring you and you're regretting your decision joining this live stream. I'll just quickly scroll through. So yeah, the opening game of the season, a highlight, an away win at Arsenal. Another thriller of a game, 4-3. And then apart from that, this had one of the best goals I've ever seen. Jordan Henderson, our captain, scored the winner. Absolute gorgeous goal. Still love it. Still one of my favourite goals in the last 10 years. And then apart from that, this was a bad day at the office, but this was more down to our goalkeeper, Karius, which we'll get onto him a bit later. As I say, this was the period of the season when things weren't going very well for us. But then we bounced back, only lose 1 game out of the last 12, and secure our place in the top 4 with a 3-0 win on the last game of the season at home to Middlesbrough. And we don't really do anything in the cup competitions. We get to the semi-finals of the League Cup, but get knocked out. Shout out to Nathaniel Klein. And I believe the top scorer was... Oh, it was actually Coutinho. I tell a lie. I thought it was Mane. It is actually Coutinho. Okay. Midfielder. I think I must be talking too much and not drinking enough water. But a vast improvement in the goals scored, 78 in the league. What was it before? It was, how many did we concede? It was like 50 something, wasn't it? I can't find where we were. Yeah, 42. Still quite a few goals conceded, but still good enough. So now we move on to 2018. And this is where things start to get very interesting. So we qualify for the top 4. We're back into the Champions League. New season starts. We want to try and take the next step. The next step is one of two things. It's either finish higher, maybe see if you can challenge for the title, or get in the top 4 again. Just because you've done it once doesn't mean you're going to do it again. So Klopp needs to keep building the team so they can consistently be a top 4 side. Yeah, this is another summer where some huge players are bought. Mo Salah, the Egyptian king, in the top 3 for our most important players in the current Liverpool side. I say in the top 3 because there's another one right here, Virgil van Dijk. He didn't arrive till January. We tried to get him in the summer of 2017. Southampton did not want to budge, so we were patient. We bided our time, and eventually we got him, albeit for a record fee, 75 million for a defender. But we did get our man. And the other key one was Andy Robertson, left back. He was the left back that Klopp wanted. I don't know if he was necessarily his first choice, but he clearly saw enough in Robertson when he was playing for Hull to think that he would be good enough to do the pressing game on the left flank. I would also give a shout out to Oxlade-Chamberlain because he was great for us in this first season, but then he suffered a horrible injury towards the end of this season, and then he was never the same player. If he'd stayed fit and kept producing the performances he did across the first 8 months of his career at Liverpool, he could have been a huge player for us. But sadly, it was not meant to be. Quick shout out to the departures. So Lucas, he had been at the club for 10 years. He stayed on for the first year under Klopp. Even though he was getting on a bit, he probably couldn't play the pressing game that Klopp wanted, but he was still a huge servant for the club in that first year. And he got a proper send-off. But the other big one was another Brazilian, Philippe Coutinho. So as you just saw, he was the top scorer last season. In the summer, he announced he wanted to leave Liverpool. He no longer was enjoying the intensity of Klopp's style of management, and he wanted to go to Barcelona. Initially, Liverpool held firm. They said he's not going anywhere, and he did stay for the first half of the season. Chipped in with more goals than he's ever scored before in his career in the first 6 months. As in, just for 6 months, not across a whole season. We'll get to the top scorers at the end to see how many goals he did score. But eventually they got the deal they wanted. It says here 105. I think initially it was tipped as 140. Oh no, here it is. Yeah, may rise to 142 million. Oh, you're talking about Van Dijk, I think. Yeah. Yeah, over 100 million for him, and maybe he wasn't worth 140 million, but he was definitely worth a lot of money, and it's some shrewd business because you can look at the dates. So we spend 75 million on Van Dijk, we get 105 million for Coutinho. So we've bought the defender we want, and we've made a 30 million quid profit. That's pretty good business. But anyway, the season itself, it's more of the same. It's building the side up, and they eventually finish in the top 4 again. I don't even know if I'd really want to highlight too much of the Premier League. 75 points, so we get an extra 6 points, is it? Oh, actually, we finished... Really? We finished with a point less. Oh. Who knew? Okay, we finished with a point less, apparently, but that was still good enough to finish in the top 4. Oh, that's why. We had 1 less win, 2 more draws. That's why it was 1 less point. I think the main things to take from the league was in the first half of the season we were still conceding too many goals, and that's when Klopp really pushed for the Van Dijk signing, and then I don't know if it necessarily massively improved, but there was maybe a slight difference, a slight improvement in the defence in the second half of the season. 5 losses all season. The last one, this was away at Chelsea, which slightly put us in danger of Chelsea jumping ahead of us to finish in the top 4. But in the end, we win our last game to finish ahead of Chelsea anyway. And I'm pretty sure they lost their last game away at Newcastle, so it didn't matter. We also went unbeaten at home. We didn't lose a single game at home, and that would become a regular feature of Klopp at Liverpool. But the Premier League isn't really the important thing this season. The 2 important things this season is our Champions League campaign and the impact of Mo Salah. So if we quickly find the Champions League... we had to go through the playoffs first, actually. And the first match in the playoffs sees the birth of a star in Alexander-Arnold. So this wasn't planned. He was an academy player. And Klopp puts him into this game. He scores a free kick. And he's still a little bit in and out of the side in this season. But as any Liverpool fan or any football fan knows, Trent is now comfortably the first choice right back for Liverpool. And has been one of the most impressive players that we've had. In terms of his passing ability, he's probably the best passer of the ball we have. And yeah, just a phenomenal player. So we go through the groups, we get into the Champions League proper, we get through the groups unbeaten, albeit with a few... this was a pretty bad one because I'm pretty sure we were winning 3-0 in this game. Yeah, and then we draw 3-3, so that's not great. That's probably actually, this game is probably the official end of out of Moreno's career at left back, and this is probably the point at which Klopp threw Andy Robertson in at left back because he knew Moreno wasn't good enough anymore. But we get through the groups, finish top of the league, top of the group. Thumping 5-0 away win at Porto. Mane scores a hat-trick. The quarterfinals, we knock out City. Oh my God, this game, this second... I mean, they're both great. The first game, we absolutely dominate them in the first half of this game to get a 3-0 lead, and then we hold it. The second game, the away game at City, they score early. It looks like we're in trouble. Oh my God, I don't think I've celebrated so much when this Firmino goal... It's not Salah goal, sorry, went in. Because that made it 1-1. We were 4-1 up with half an hour to go, and I knew we weren't going to lose it. And I was so happy to stick it to City. This was before the Liverpool-City rivalry even started. Maybe this was the game actually where the Liverpool-City rivalry really started. But yeah, then get to the semi-finals. We were actually 5-0 up in this game, and then we conceded 2 late goals to slightly take the icing off of it. We do lose the second game, but we do just enough to get over the line. And we make it to the final, which, as you can see, we do lose this final. But I think that's not necessarily the point. The fact that our first season back in the Champions League and Klopp gets us all the way to the final was a phenomenal achievement. I think his style with the pressing football was absolutely perfectly suited to the European competition. It doesn't always work in the Premier League, but I think it absolutely worked in the Champions League. And clearly it showed, because we got to the final. We steamrolled everybody, except for Real Madrid, who did a number on us, in more ways than one, in that final. But they were helped. They were helped by 2 absolute terrible mistakes by our goalkeeper, Karius. who subsequently never played a game again for Liverpool. He'd already had a few mistakes prior to this game across the 2 years he'd been at the club. I highlighted the Bournemouth game earlier from last season. But yeah, this was the final nail in the coffin. He made 2 terrible mistakes that led to 2 of these goals that Real Madrid score. And he was in tears. He was absolutely gutted at the end of the game because he knew he was at fault. But ultimately, Klopp had to show his ruthlessness again. Klopp bought him because he wanted him to be the first choice goalkeeper, but it was clear he was not good enough. So Klopp had to now get rid of him. I wanted to highlight Mo Salah as well. So this was Mo Salah's first season at the club. He scores a record... Not a record, sorry. Well, this is a record, actually, sorry. A record 32 goals in the Premier League. The previous record was 31. The record has been broken since then by Erling Haaland, who got 36, I believe. But at the time, this was the most goals ever scored by one player in a season. 38 games season. It wasn't all Karius' fault. No, I'll give you that, Jake. Yeah, Ramos. Yeah, well, a lot of people didn't know. A lot of people forget that. A lot of people just think Ramos broke Salah's shoulder, which he did. But yes, he did also presumably elbow Karius or headbutt. He must have elbowed him. He can't have headbutted him because otherwise Ramos would have been injured as well. He must have elbowed Karius and that got him concussion. So yeah, actually I take it back. Karius will go down in history as being the reason we lost that final for the 2 mistakes he made. But it wasn't all his fault. That's fair. Because he was discovered to have been concussed after the game. But I digress. Salah. Record number of goals scored in the Premier League and 44 goals in all competitions is, I believe, the second highest tally ever for a single player in Liverpool history in one season. The only player that's got more goals than that in one season was Ian Rush with 48 goals. And Ian Rush is the all-time record goal scorer at Liverpool. So it's no wonder he has the record. The fact that Salah, in his first season at Liverpool, came within 4 goals of matching that all-time record was just insane. I also will give a shout out to Firmino. 27 goals scored in all competitions. By far his best goal scoring season. Mane also chipped in with a lot of goals. As it turns out, Coutinho scored 12 goals. 12 goals in 6 months before he left for Barcelona. That's pretty good. I'm pretty sure the year before he was top scorer. Didn't it say he had 14 goals? And he chipped in with 12. It took him 1 year to score 14 goals. And then in his last 6 months he scored 12. So that's pretty good. Now we get on to the big stuff. 2018-19. So we've come close in Europe. We've made it into the top 4 2 seasons in a row. Now Klopp makes the next big steps, arguably the final big steps, to turn us into title challengers. I said he had to get rid of Karius. He did just that, and he replaced him with Alisson. Brazilian goalkeeper. Arguably, it's debatable, even I will admit it, arguably the best goalkeeper in the world right now, and has been for the 6 years he's now been at Liverpool. He's still at the club. All 3 of these players are also... well, actually, no, I take it back. Keita had a bit of an influence, but not nearly enough of an influence. When he was fit, he was a really good player, but he was not fit nearly often enough. Likewise, Shaqiri. Shaqiri chipped in with some important goals, especially in the first 6 months of his Liverpool career. He did kind of fade out and turn into a squad player after that. Fabinho was the big one. He is the defensive midfielder, so he replaced Emre Can, who decided to leave the club at this point. Fabinho comes in, and he is one of the key factors that turns the side into a rock. So I just want to go back to Klopp's main page. So we highlighted the gegenpressing earlier. Full front, attacking football, get the ball back, beat the team into submission, attack. It's all very good and entertaining, It's not very good if you want to be a good defensive side. And that was probably the biggest weakness. That's probably part of the reason why Van Dijk was bought. Where is it? I've seen it on this page somewhere. I can't. I thought it was here, but it's not. Where is it? I can't find it. Oh well. Nope. Okay, so I can't find it. Basically, Klopp decided to adapt his style. So instead of going for just all-out attack, he turned the team into still being all about attacking, but doing it through controlling the ball. Basically, get the ball back. Press the team, get the ball back as quickly as possible. But then once you've got the ball, maybe don't go all-out attack. Maybe let's keep the ball. Play around with it a bit, keep possession-based football, and maybe turn us into more of a tiki-taka Man City style of football play. For the sole reason, I think, it was simply to make us a stronger defensive team. A stronger team defensively. Still have that cutting edge from an attacking point of view, but making us stronger defensively so we were conceding less goals. And this season especially, it's unbelievably clear. Nope, it's that we wanted. So the goal tally drops massively. We only conceded 22 goals in the whole season. Still scored a ton, 89. But as you can see here, this is not a typo. So across the entire 38-game season in 2018-19, we only lose one game. We win 30, which at one point it was a record to win 30 games. Man City had already broken this record in 2018. But yeah, we win 30 games out of 38, only losing one. Unfortunately, that one game that we lost all season in the league was against the one team that we didn't want to lose to, Manchester City, the team that wins the league this year. If we drew this game, if we won this game, and all the other results went exactly as they were, then we would have finished as league champions. Ultimately, City did a number on us. We almost scored a goal that was... You'd have to find a picture of it, but basically, goal line technology, the whole of the ball has to cross the line for it to count as a goal, obviously. Goal line technology proved that we nearly had a goal that was 11 centimetres or 11 millimetres short of going over the line. Yeah, it was that close. 11 centimetres or 11 millimetres, whatever it was, from winning the league. And having said all that, I'm a firm believer that you can never blame not winning a league on one game, and I still believe that because there was 7 other games in here that we didn't win, especially actually this period here. So we drew 4 of 6 in late January / early February. Late January / all of February. If we'd have turned even one of these draws into a win, that would have been enough to win the league. So I wouldn't pin it all on this one loss. But that one loss is pretty painful when you're 11 centimetres or 11 millimetres away from scoring a goal that would have won you the league. Yeah. But the other key factor here is that, as well as this, is that because we only lost one game, we amassed 97 points, the maximum number of points that a team can win, the maximum number of points that a Premier League team can get is 114, and we got 97 and still didn't win the league. It's the fourth highest points tally in English football history. Fourth highest ever, and it wasn't good enough to win the league. Utterly painful, but still brought an incredible season that just didn't quite get over the line. Fortunately, we were able to slightly forget about that painful loss of not winning the league with our performance in the Champions League. Doesn't start off great, I'm not going to lie. We have a huge issue in the groups with winning an away game because we don't win one. We win all of our home games, lose all of our away games, which meant we had to win this last game to get out of the groups, which we did, 1-0. Salah scored the goal. Alisson, the goalkeeper, made a last-minute save to stop Napoli from getting an equaliser, which if they'd got it, they would have gone through ahead of us. Alisson already looking like a good buy. Make it into the last 16. Bayern Munich, German champions, a side that Klopp has played many times before when he was a manager in Germany. We do a number on them in their ground in the second leg to win. Porto again in the quarterfinals, comfortably get through that. And then the semi-finals. You can already see it, so it's already been spoilt. The first leg of the semi-finals away, we lose 3-0. Barcelona. Anyone who is not even a football fan or a soccer fan probably knows that Barcelona is a big deal. They've heard of Man United, they've heard of Arsenal. We're going down to the Arsenal game. They've maybe heard of Liverpool. I imagine a lot of people know that Barcelona is a pretty big team in the world of football. At this point, they are slightly fading. They're not the same powerhouse they used to be, but they're still a reasonably big deal. We lose 3-0. It looks like it's game over. It looks like we're not going to get to the final for the second year in a row. All we can do is go into the second game at home, try and win it. You know, maybe win 2-0, maybe win 2-1. You know, get a win, but it's not going to be enough to get to the final because we're 3-0 down. As you can see, a 4-0 win to turn it around from 3-0 down to win 4-3. I'm not going to describe all the goals, but I will shout out Divock Origi. He has pretty much spent his entire Liverpool career as a bench player. He comes off the bench, scores the odd goal here and there. He starts this game because he has to. We're missing several key players. Salah is injured. Firmino, the main front striker, is injured. I think maybe Henderson, the captain, might have been injured as well. I don't think he played in this. In fact, you know what? Let's look it up. Sod it. Let's look it up. Who played in this game? Is this the Champions? Have we got it? Can I see it? Match info. Is this going to give you the teams? I don't want to see. No, don't show me it. You'll get me done for copyright. No, come on. Give me the damn teams. Who played in this game? This is my favourite game I've ever witnessed. It's right there. I can see it. Oh, okay, no, Henderson did play. Okay, so the front three, the three main midfielders did all play. Okay, it must have just been the attackers. I thought someone in the midfield was missing, but no. Okay, so Mane did play. But the other two main strikers, Firmino and Salah, were both injured. Wijnaldum, the midfielder I highlighted earlier, also came off the bench and scored 2 of the 4 goals. But Origi got the first goal, and he ends up getting the winning goal. And at the end, the celebrations is the most utter euphoria I have ever witnessed in my life. The fact that we did it, we pulled off what should have been an impossible comeback. And I have never been so happy in my entire life. It was also incredibly emotional because after the game, They got all of the team and the squad in front of the Kop, which is Liverpool's main stand. And Liverpool's iconic theme song is "You'll Never Walk Alone." And the fans were serenading, singing "You'll Never Walk Alone" to the players, and they're all right there in front of the stand. And they're singing it back to them. They're singing with them. Some of the players are crying. I was crying. It might be the most beautiful individual moment I've ever experienced as a football fan. Yeah. And then we get to the final. The second year in a row we've got to this final. Lost to Real Madrid last year. This year we play Spurs, another English side, and we get over the line. We scored an early goal with a penalty. And then that man again, Origi, comes off the bench, having been the hero in the semi-finals, and he scores the second goal. He didn't need to score it because we're already winning 1-0. If he doesn't score that goal, we still win 1-0 anyway. Salah gets the winning goal. But he scores the second goal to secure the win late on. He scores like in the 85th minute or something. Secures the win and puts himself even further into the history books. He's already in the history books for his performance in the semi-final. His goal in the final cements it as a Liverpool legend, Origi. And no one, not even he, would have ever thought that, having spent most of his Liverpool career as a bench player. Yeah, Salah doesn't quite live up to the heights, but still 27 goals, 22 in the league, as did Mane. Fair play to him. Origi, 7 huge, well, maybe not this one. Maybe not this one, but the other six goals. 6 of the most important goals in Liverpool's season. Yeah, I don't think we need to say any more about this. So, (2019-20). I'm looking at the time. I'm thinking that we're probably going to have to spend the rest of our time highlighting this season, and then we're probably going to have to slightly speed through the last 4 seasons. Just for the sake of time, we probably only got about an hour left. How long have we been going for, incidentally? Oh, we've already been going for an hour. We're not doing too bad. So we've won the European trophy in 2019. We now go into 2019-20, which will become known as the COVID. Well, maybe not as the COVID season. The year after 2021 is probably known as the COVID season. But 2019-20 is the season when COVID begins. But it will also go down in Liverpool history as the year that the wait was over for a league title. After 30 years now, because as I said at the beginning, 1990 was the last time we won a league title. After 30 years of wait, Klopp delivers the league title that all the Liverpool fans have craved for 3 decades. We've won the European Cup twice in those 30 years. We've won the Europa League, although it was called the UEFA Cup, as well, in the 30 years. We've won the 2 cup competitions, domestic cup competitions, several times in the 30 years. But what all fans wanted, more than anything, was that league title. The hardest thing to win, but they still wanted it nonetheless. And they probably deserved it after the performance in 2019 to get 97 points. They don't let what happened in 2019. They don't let it sour them. They don't think, oh my God, we did all this and it still wasn't enough. What's the point? No, they don't do that. Klopp doesn't let them do that. Instead, he motivates them again. He says, okay, you got 97 points. You know, it's a record for Liverpool. Let's go get an even better points tally this year. And sure enough, that's exactly what they do. with a whopping 99 points. Despite the fact that I'm pretty sure... Actually, I can't remember what the goal... In fact, you know, it's here, isn't it? Yeah, less goals. Less goals scored. More goals conceded. More defeats as well, actually. But there's a reason behind those, actually. We'll get to that. But still good enough to get 2 more points than they got the year before. City had their own struggles. But crucially, Liverpool not only earned this league title, they cruised to it. They dominated. They wiped the board in a way with the exception of Man City in 2018, possibly, I don't think I've ever seen a team dominate a league the way Liverpool did. The fact that it took this performance, this level of performance, to win a league title, in some ways makes it all the sweeter, actually. 99 points. Is there anything? I wonder if there's anything on this page that highlights all the records that Liverpool smashed. Here we go. Oh, God, I've been talking too much. I might need to top up my water in a second. You know what? It might just be quicker and easier just to read this. It's not okay. It's not insanely long. So we won 3 trophies this year. Because we won the Champions League, we get the right to compete in these 2 bonus competitions that you can only compete in if you win the Champions League. That's the Super Cup and the Club World Cup. And we win both of them. Some people would argue they're not proper trophies, but you have to win a big trophy to play in these matches. So, yeah, I'd say they still count. Gets knocked out in the League Cup by Aston Villa, but that's because they had to field a team of kids because the first team was playing in the Club World Cup at the time. Yeah, as I say, Liverpool won their first Club World Cup world title after defeating Brazilian club Flamengo. Roberto Firmino scored the winner, making them the first English side to win the international treble of the Champions League, Super Cup and Club World Cup. I didn't actually know that. I'd actually forgotten that. Liverpool were unsuccessful in the defence of their Champions League. We were knocked out in the round of 16 by Atletico Madrid. Very bad day at the office. We lost the first game 1-0 away. Atletico Madrid are a really strong defensive team, so we were already in trouble going into the second leg. But we score 2 goals. We go 2-1 up. It looks like we've turned it around. And then we suffer a very rare collapse. And Madrid do us through a combination of mistakes that we make, but also they hit us on the counter-attack, and they score 3 goals to win 3-2 in the home game, and then 4-2 on aggregate. No, 4-2 on aggregate. But anyway, yeah, the league. On the 25th of June 2020, following Man City's defeat to Chelsea, Liverpool clinched their 19th league title, the first since 1990 and the first during the Premier League era. Upon winning the league, Liverpool claimed the unusual achievement of winning the Premier League earlier than any other team. We won with 7 games still to play. So we played 31 games to win the league. We won the league within 31 games. No team had ever won that quickly. But we also set the record of winning the league later than any other team by date because we were playing these games in June because of COVID. The league stopped in March. Mid-March? Early or mid-March. And then didn't start up again until mid-June. And normally at that point, domestic league is over. For football, at least. For soccer. So yeah, that is a very obscure record. Double record to achieve. Over the season, Liverpool set a number of other English top-flight records. The most consecutive home wins, 24 wins in a row at home. 7 of which were from the previous season. So 17 in a row in that... Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay, I'll come back to that, actually. So 17 in a row in this season, 24 overall. We had the biggest points lead ever at one stage. At one point, we were 25 points ahead of City. We ended up finishing 18 points ahead of them. We also matched the Premier League record for most wins, 32, the most home wins, 18, and the most consecutive wins, 18. Including the previous season, Liverpool enjoyed a 44-match unbeaten run in the league, the second longest behind Arsenal's run of 49. And that was the period when Arsenal had the Invincibles, which was when they won the league by going an entire season unbeaten. The team remained unbeaten at home for the third season in a row. Finished the season with 99 points, record. Second highest in English top-flight history, behind only Man City's 100 points that they achieved in 2018. Liverpool also recorded the best ever start to a season, picking up 20... Yeah, this was the reason why we were so dominant. The first 21 games, we win 20 of them and only draw one. And that one draw was away at Man United. 61 points out of a possible 63. They eventually extended that record to 26 wins. Oh, so actually, yeah, sorry, it was even better. The first 27 games, we win 26 of them. That's insane. Before suffering their first league defeat to Watford. Yeah, the first league defeat of the season against Watford, that was a bad day at the office. A very bad day at the office. We just did not play well in that game, and Watford came with a game plan to hit us on the counter or play balls over the top and their players could run in behind. And yeah, they did us fair and square. We weren't good in that game. I think to my memory, the only shot on target we had in the whole game was from Robertson, and he was the left back. And we ended up losing that game 3-0. So even if Robertson had scored that goal, 3-1, we still would have lost. But we ended up losing 3-0. Not a good day at the office. You know, call me a perfectionist. For all these positive records I've just highlighted, there were a few things in here that really bugged me about this. So we had the biggest points lead, 25. We end up finishing 18 points ahead of City. That's not the record. The record is 19, which City set. Part of the reason for that is because after we won the league, with 7 games to go, the team went on a bit of a party streak. I wouldn't have been surprised if they were spending the week drinking and then playing games at the weekend. In fact, you know what? This is probably the right time to go to the results. Okay, yeah. So you can see here, like the first 27 games, look at all these wins. It's all green across the board apart from this one. This is the Watford defeat. I believe... Okay, yeah. This is the last game. So we lose to Watford. Bounce back against Bournemouth in the next game. And this is the last game before COVID. And then after the COVID break, we come back. We get a draw away at Everton, who are our local rivals. Beat Palace at home. Crystal Palace. And then the day after this win, City lose to Chelsea, which officially means that we are champions. Liverpool almost certainly then spent the next week boozing, partying and getting drunk. Their first game as champions is, of the greatest ironies, is away to Man City, their main rivals. And I wouldn't be surprised if half the team was hungover when they played this game. We played it, lost 4-0. I didn't care at all because I could tell the team were just not at the races. They clearly were. I'm just calling it. I'm just saying. I think half the team was hungover when they played this game. But the last 6 games, they do win 4 of them. It just really bugs me, these 2 defeats, 2 games that they don't win. So this is the one home game that they didn't win all season. It was a 1-1 draw at home to Burnley. If we'd won that game, it would have meant we set the record for winning every single home game in that season. That surely would have been a record, I think. I'm not aware of any other team. Well, in fact, you know what? It said it at the top, didn't it? We tied the record. We tied the record for most home wins. So no Premier League side has ever won 19 out of 19 in a season. we could have broke that record. So it bugs me so much that the second to last home game against Burnley of all teams, we didn't get over the line. And then the game after that, we lost away to Arsenal. We should not have lost this game. We absolutely dominated this game, and then we made 2 mistakes. They scored from both of those mistakes to win the game 2-1. Yeah, it really bugs me. And the other reason these 2 results bug me is because if we had done better in either of those 2 games, so if we turn this into a win or turn this into a draw, if we turn this into a draw, we would have got the 100 points, which means we would have tied the record that City set of getting 100 points. If we turn this into a win, then we would have got 101 points, and we would have the all-time record for the most points. But I'm nitpicking because this is still the most utterly dominant season I've ever witnessed, maybe from any team ever, and that includes City. So the fact it was my own team that did it, I don't think I've ever been so happy during a single season with how incredible we were. And all of that was whilst COVID was taking place. Okay, I'm going to slightly speed up now because I want to actually get through to some of these quizzes and tier lists. So on second thoughts, we're just going to quickly... Shock horror. From this point onwards, we don't win another league title, unfortunately. So these are the 4 seasons here. Third, second, fifth, third. So I'll just try and skim through them as quickly as I can. 2021, the official COVID season, starts out pretty good. And then about 5 or 6 games into the season, Van Dijk gets a serious injury. Our main centre-back, our main defender, he gets a serious injury, gets ruled out for the rest of the season. A week later, his partner in defence, Joe Gomez, also picks up a serious injury, is out for the rest of the season. So we spend a lot of 2021 trying to find 2 players to play at centre-back in central defence. Initially, it's not a problem. We seem to be able to survive the storm. I'm pretty sure we set a Premier League record for our biggest ever away win, 7-0 away at Crystal Palace, which sent us top of the league at Christmas. So we were the defending champions, and we were top of the league about just under halfway through the season. But then the new year kicks in, the year 2021 begins, and we absolutely collapse. You know what, I will highlight it now. Just a second. We absolutely collapse. Here it is. So, yeah, okay, so it's just under half. So it's about a third of the way through the season. 1 loss in these first 16 games, albeit it's a pretty bad loss. I won't highlight this to Vulcan, because it's a good day for his team. But we're still looking pretty good, despite the fact we have lost our 2 main central defenders. We're still doing all right. And then the new year kicks in. I can't remember. One of these 2 games was the first game of the new year, and then we lose a game, draw, lose, and then this horrible streak of losses. We also lose amongst these losses. It's this one here. We lose our long unbeaten streak of our long unbeaten record at home. So we'd gone almost 4 years without losing a game in the league at home. Ended with this game, and then if you actually look, home game, loss, home game, loss, home game, loss, 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 loss. We go from a 4-year unbeaten, just under 4-year unbeaten streak at home, to then losing our next 6 games in a row at home. It was the only time ever when Klopp was in charge that I was actually seriously questioning his ability. To lose 6 home games in a row was just unbelievable. I'm pretty sure the only win, this one win here in this horrible losing streak, is away at Sheffield United, and Sheffield United were one of the worst teams ever in this particular season. So if we didn't win this game, then we were in trouble. Not that we weren't already in trouble with 6 losses in 7. So yeah, things are looking bad. This is looking like a terrible defence of the league title, but we do bounce back in the last 10 games, winning 8 of them to not only finish back in the top 4, but we actually end up finishing in 3rd. Probably the big highlight was one of these 2 games. Alisson, I think it was this game actually. Alisson, the goalkeeper, scores a last-minute winner. Goalkeepers don't score goals. It doesn't happen very often, and it was so amazing. It's probably the biggest highlight of a season that started out great and then fell apart very quickly in the middle. It was a great start, terrible middle, good end is probably the best way to describe it. 2022, we're back on track. We're back fighting for the league again, challenging City. End up finishing with 92 points. Only 2 losses in the season, so it's on par with these 2 years again. I just want to remind myself how... I can't remember if it was 1 point or 2 points to City. It was 1 point. Lovely! Okay, it was 1 point. Yeah, we missed out on the league again to City by 1 point. But, yeah. I think the big thing about this season was the fact that we were not only challenging for the league, we were challenging for every trophy. So Klopp had found a brilliant balance for putting out teams that could challenge in every competition. It's already been highlighted that, or I've sort of highlighted it. If you've been paying attention, you might have noticed it, but I haven't specifically pointed out the cup competitions all that much. Klopp's biggest focus that I've been talking about has been the Premier League, because it's the most important thing, and the Champions League, which is the European competition. I haven't really talked about the EFL Cup, or the League Cup as I call it, or the FA Cup, because Klopp didn't really put too much into them. This season, he found some kind of brilliant balance to to be competitive in every game. And as you can see, we win both of the cup competitions. We finish 1 point off of winning the league again. And we get to a 3rd European Cup final. Well, technically 4th if you include the Europa League in his first season. But a 3rd European Cup final in the Premier European competition. Unfortunately, the old enemy, yet again, Real Madrid, just like it was in 2018, they beat us in the final 1-0. Their only shot on target, they scored with it, and their goalkeeper had a worldie, Courtois. There was also a lot of controversy around that game because of issues that happened with the fans pre-match, but I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, suffice it to say, we were challenging for an unprecedented quadruple in this season. Won 2 of them, and came up 2 games short. 1 in the league, because it was only 1 point, and then 1 in the Champions League, because it was the final. To my knowledge, I can't think of any side in any European league that's ever won 4 trophies. I know Barcelona under Pep won 6 trophies across 2 different seasons. So they won a treble in 1 season, but one of the I highlighted earlier. So winning the Champions League means you can play in the Super Cup and the Club World Cup. I think they won a treble in 2009, and one of those was the Champions League. And because they won the Champions League, they could play in the Super Cup, won that. In the season after, they could play in the Club World Cup, won that, and then they won some pre-season cup competition, which also counts. So that's the 6 trophies that they won. Apart from that, I can't think of any side that's ever won 4 trophies. And these 6 trophies were technically across 2 different seasons, so it doesn't really count, but it's in the same year. I can't think of any side that's ever won 4 trophies in 1 season, and we came within 2 games of doing it. This is probably the lowest season of Klopp's career. Things just did not gel for us this season. We lost Sadio Mane. He chose to leave the club. And a lot of the other players, all that were still there, they didn't leave. They just weren't the same players. They had either run out of energy or they were just really exhausted from all the efforts from the previous season. Actually, something I forgot to highlight. So because we went for the quadruple and we got to the final of the Champions League and lost, we played in every possible game that you could have played in. So, hold on, let me just go back. I know we were just in it. Yeah, we played in 63 games. That was the maximum amount of games we could play in because we got to the final, won, lost. 63 games is the maximum amount of games we could have played in that season, and we played in all 63 of them. So maybe exhaustion kicked in for the players from that. But yeah, half the team just was not at it this season. Put in performances that were just so below par. And some of the new signings also struggled to settle in. Darwin Núñez, our new main striker, probably being the most notable example. And we ended up finishing 5th. The first and only time we did not finish in the top 4 under Jurgen Klopp, not including his first season because he came in halfway through it. There's not really a lot to highlight in this season, so I'm not going to go into it. And then his final season, 23-24, yet again, just like 2019, just like 2020, and just like 2022, challenging for the league title again. This time we're in a 3-horse race. It's us, City, and now new challenger has entered, Arsenal. There was also a massive overhaul. We saw a lot of players leave. Nope, hold on. Sorry, where is it? Nope. Here we go. So we lose, James Milner, Naby Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Firmino, our star striker. Our captain, Jordan Henderson, decides to suddenly leave unexpectedly. Fabinho, the Rock, in defensive midfield, he also left. So we had to have a massive overhaul of the midfield. All 4 players that we signed are all midfielders. So a massive rebuild job in the midfield. I'm going to need to go drink in a minute. Bloody hell. My voice is going. I'm going to have to get a drink in a second. Despite the overhaul, Klopp called it Liverpool 2.0. Despite this, we are challenging again for the league. In the end, the season does slightly peter out. Wow, I'd actually forgotten that we spent a lot of this. How much of this season we spent top of the league? Who was this first game that we drew with? Oh, Chelsea. That's right. Yeah. It was probably. Who was this against? This was against City, I think. That was... I can't remember who this was. This game here. This was probably the... Oh, no, this was Man United. Yeah, okay. This was probably the beginning of the downfall. So with 7 games to go, we're top of the league. We're still in it. We're in a 3-horse race. Oh, we've already discussed Karius. We've already said a lot about Karius. Anyone that wants to watch this back, I'll try and chapter it as quickly as possible. So if people want to hear about my opinions on specific seasons, this is probably the beginning of the downfall. This is away at Man United, our arch rivals. We're absolutely dominating this game. Give away a cheap goal. Fernandes scores from the halfway line, and then they score a brilliant goal to go 2-1 up. So now suddenly we're losing this game. Salah scores a penalty. We get away with a 2-2 draw. Feels like a massive missed opportunity. And then this is probably where it really peters out. The home loss to Crystal Palace. This was probably the point at which I thought we were out of it. And then sure enough, the only game that's actually not true. I was about to say the only game Klopp ever lost against Everton, but actually Everton did beat us at home during the COVID season, during that 6 game in a row losing streak at home. This was the only away game against Everton that Klopp ever lost. And it was his last ever game, which was hugely disappointing. And then I can't remember who this is. This is away at Aston Villa. And yeah, we finished with 82 points. In the end, we finish 9 points behind City. But, I mean, 9 points. We dropped 2 here. We dropped 3 here, so that's 5, 8, 10, 12. 12 points dropped in the last 7 games. I think it's pretty clear the mistakes that were made that cost us. Arsenal end up coming just 2 points short of City. But still, I would say a really good season nonetheless. And you got to remember, a bounce-back season because we finished 5th the year before and it looked like maybe Klopp had run out of magic with finishing 5th. Everton not number 1. Absolutely not. Oh, and did I also mention, just a little thing in this season, not that big of a deal, Mr. Klopp announces January this year that he would step down as Liverpool manager at the end of the 2023-2024 season. He explained that he was running out of energy and he cannot do the job again and again and again and again. But he did also say he would never manage another team in England, apart from Liverpool. Which I still believe him. I still believe that that will happen. I absolutely believe him when he says that. He said that, running out of energy. Klopp is, anyone that's ever watched him will know he is a full-on, full-force, pedal-to-the-metal manager. His style of football, attack, 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 he's exactly like that on the touchline. He's running around, he's jumping, he's celebrating the goals when they go in. He's squaring up to linesmen at occasion, on the odd occasion. He's having fights with the referees he doesn't like. Yeah, I absolutely believed him when he said running out of energy. You could see it in his face. If you looked at him when he arrived at Liverpool, and then you looked at him when he left, my God, the amount of grey hairs he grew. And the stress lines, the bushy beard, the whiteness in his beard. Some of that is just from getting old, obviously, as well. But, yeah, I was absolutely devastated, but I absolutely understood why he made the decision that he did make. Even though I would have loved for him to stay on for at least one more year, because then he could have said he'd been in charge for 10 seasons, and he would have come up just short of 10 years in charge, because he obviously joined in October 2015. So even if he stayed one more year, he wouldn't have hit the 10 years. He would have had to have stayed 2 more seasons. But yeah, he's a breath of fresh air, and clearly he was running out of air in his body, in his lungs, in his demeanour, and he just needed a break. But one big highlight that he did have to go out on is that he did win the League Cup for the 2nd time as Liverpool manager, which is also said here. Won 1-0 against Chelsea. The £1 billion bottle jobs, I believe Gary Neville called them. And won it with the Liverpool kids because there was a bajillion first-team players that were injured going into that final. So we had to play a ton of kids in the final. I think the stats will say that Chelsea actually also had a team that was even younger than Liverpool's, but some of their young kids had been bought for 100 million quid, so hence the nickname £1 billion bottle jobs. And then yeah, I'm not going to read all of this, I'll just highlight some of the key points. So the final week of his time in charge of the club, yeah, numerous interviews, numerous videos. I've seen tons of YouTube. I remember seeing tons of YouTube videos, including this. A YouTube video, past and present Liverpool players paid homage to Klopp. Yeah, Steven Gerrard, club legend. Jamie Carragher, legend. It's the comments they made. His last match was a 2-0 win. Okay, yeah. I didn't actually highlight his first interview when he joined the club 9 years ago, yesterday. He made some key comments in that first interview. One of them was that he wanted to turn doubters into believers, i.e. he wanted the Liverpool fans to believe that they could win a league title again. Klopp was an incredible manager, but he was an incredible speaker in terms of the choice of words he used. He knew, not every time, but most of the time, he knew the right words to say at the right time. And without doubt, one of his great lines was in his very first interview. He turned doubters into believers. He turned every Liverpool fan back into a believer again. Yeah, and that's even without talking about. I highlighted he was running out of energy. This is without even talking about the connection he built with the fans. Unprecedented. I don't think any Liverpool manager, and maybe any manager for any club, has ever developed the kind of relationship that Klopp developed with the Liverpool fans. His most infamous interaction being the fist bump to the supporters whenever at the end of any game that we won. Look it up on YouTube. There's 100 of them. Basically, he would wave at the fans, so thank you, clap them, thank you, whatever. The camera's like right here in his face, just by his side, following him, and then he'd just be walking along, and then he'd run at the cop and give him the old fist bumps, and the fans absolutely loved it. I loved it. I'll self-admit that I joined in on a few occasions towards the back end of his time as manager, and yeah, he built a connection with the fans that I don't think I've seen any other manager for any other club build that kind of relationship with the fan base. He is without doubt a Liverpool legend, and even if he doesn't want to call himself a Liverpool supporter, I'm sure he will, but even if one day he doesn't, the Liverpool fans will consider him a supporter for the rest of time, for the rest of his life, however long that may be. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Don't think there's anything, unless there's something on his specific page, but I don't think there is. So you know what? Let's instead jump into the quizzes. We're running out of time a little bit here, so I'm not going to use the full time limits. We'll give it 10 minutes for each. Watch me absolutely. In fact, hold on. I'm not even sure if you can see the pages because of my camera in the way slightly. I'm hoping you'll be able to see. Maybe I need to move the camera actually. In fact, you know what? Yeah, let's move it here so we can block this stupid ad. Anyway, all right, let's go. Right, so this is Klopp. What was it? Oh, Klopp trophy winning squads. Right, we'll come back to the Dortmund ones. Let's do the Liverpool ones first. Right. Also, is this? Oh no, sorry. I was about to say, why is there only 4? But yeah, it's because they've combined the 2. Right. We're off to a good start. Is it Alisson Becker? No. I didn't know how to spell Alisson. That's a good start. Anyone that watching can join in on this, and if I'm really, really bad and forget someone really obvious, I'm really hoping I don't, but Gini Wijnaldum, Henderson, Milner, Fabinho, Shaqiri, Keita in the second. Oh no, sorry, and in the first one. Who am I missing? Oh, Oxlade-Chamberlain. Does he count? Oh, in the first one, Lallana. Yeah, Adam. Yeah, yeah. No, Nathaniel Klein does not count. Right, Salah, Mane, Firmino. Sturridge was still at the club. I know that. Yep. And Divock Origi. So there we go. We got all the Champions League ones. I assume this must be Adrian we're looking for. Adrian! Like Rocky, no? Who's this defender we're missing? Simicast? No. Who is this defender we're missing? Matip. Not Kanate, he hadn't joined yet. Matip, Lovren, Van Dijk, Gomez are the centre-backs. Robertson at left-back. Trent, right-back. Not Nathaniel Klein. Who is this right-back we're missing here? I'm also trying to think who else we're missing. We're only missing 3 names from the... Oh, hang on. It's not Ben Woodburn in the striker, is it? Nope. What's his name? Brewster. Is it Brewster? Nope. Ryan Brewster is not him. 1 defender, which I'm assuming must be a fullback. 1 midfielder. Actually, is this in alphabetical order? Maybe we can figure this out. No, this can't be, in fact, because otherwise Trent would be at the top. Right, Kelleher is the other goalkeeper. Kanate. And then we have all the defenders. Who are we missing? I'm also assuming that these 2 here are also going to be on this list as well. Nunes. Diaz, Nunes. I think Gakpo hadn't joined yet. Oh no, he had joined. Okay. Oh yeah, he joined after the World Cup, didn't he? Ben Doak? Nope. I'm missing a lot of midfielders actually. In 2023 specifically. Who the hell am I? Oh, this is really bad. I'm embarrassing myself. Who am I missing here? I've given up on these 3 just because I'm missing so many names in these 2, especially midfielders in this one. Is this all kids or something? Henderson, Milner, Keita, Ox, Lallana had already left. Shaqiri had left. Wijnaldum had left. Who played in midfield? This was only a year. Well, a year and a half ago. A year and a half / 2 years ago. Who played in the 23 season when we? Oh yes, thank you, McAllister. No, hang on, that's not right. Also, I can't spell his name. No, McAllister joined in 23-24, so it's not him. This list is technically not updated because it doesn't include the 23-24 League Cup win. It's not McAllister, not Szoboszlai, not Endo, not Gravenberch. Oh, hang on a minute. Harvey Elliott. Curtis Jones. That's the midfielder we were missing. Okay. Striker in the COVID season. We didn't have many of them. Also, Origi's not on this list. Why is Origi here and here, but he's not in here? Interesting. Ben Woodburn, Ryan Brewster, Ben Doak. I don't know. This is really bad. Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones. Who else? Oh dear, excuse me. I can't think. I've had a mind blank. I guarantee when I press give up, there's going to be some names on here that I've missed. Let's see if we can get a few of the Dortmund players because we've only got till 10 minutes. Kagawa. Marco Reus. That's not how you spell it, is it? What's the name of the defender? He's played there forever. No, it's not. Sami Khedira had already left, hadn't he? Yeah. Not closer. Goetze. Hummels is who I was thinking of. Matt Hummels. Kagawa. Gundogan. Lewandowski. Hey, got it the first time. Aubameyang. Yes, thank you, Jake Hummels. I feel like I should know who the goalkeeper was. Oh, Socrates. Yeah. Royce, Kagawa, Aubameyang. Mkhitaryan. I don't know how to spell this name. Oh my god, I can't believe I got that first try. I'm just trying to think of Dortmund players that moved to the Premier League. I feel like I've got them all now. We got over 100 at least. That's something. Who is the goalkeeper? I don't know. Come on, I know this. Begins with a W. Is it Fella? Oh, yes! Let's go. Can I get one more? 110. Let's get to 110. Socrates. Let's make up a name. Smith. Kelly. King. Oh, hang on. Wait, hang on. Oh, no. Oh, hang on. No. Park? No, not Ji-sung Park. Ah, no, we didn't do it. We hit the 10 minutes. Never mind. Hey, what the bloody hell's this? No, hey, what the bloody hell's this? I don't want... Get rid of this ad. Right, Liverpool first. Oh, no. Jota. How did I forget about Diego? Thiago. Oh, no. Okay, well, I'm not surprised I forgot about him. And regretfully, I like Bajcetic, but since his breakout season, he's played next to no football for Liverpool. So, Nico Williams, that was a tough one. I should have remembered Taki, actually. Dortmund, Subotic, yeah, Schmelzer. I should have got Nuri Sahin. Liverpool player, briefly. Ivan Perisic played for Dortmund. I forgot about that. Kiro Immobile. Okay. Yeah, not bad. Right, so now the other quiz is Jurgen Klopp 11s versus Pep Guardiola. This should be maybe a bit easier. There's only 10 minutes anyway, so... Oh, well, in fact, you know what? Some of this should help because of the quiz we just did. Oh, shit, what did I get wrong on this? Yeah. Oh, God, you know what? Now I wish I was paying attention to the names I missed. Not Goetze. That's a good start. Oh no, so this is Pep Guardiola, isn't it? So this is after. This is after the Champions League final, actually. So. Oh my god, I got the spelling right the first time. I've got it wrong the second time. Lewandowski, Obameyang. Why am I saying it like that? Subotic, he said. Perisic? Nope, he'd already left. Immobile? This is, I mean, technically, I'm double cheating here. Because, Nuri Sahin, I saw. Technically, I'm double cheating here because of the quiz we just did, but also it's got the nationality. Socrates. And I've already forgotten. I've already forgotten most of the other names. Let's move on to Liverpool. Midgeley. Midgeley. Klein, Lallana, Wijnaldum. Wijnaldum scored the winner in 2017. Firmino, Mane, Emre Can, Henderson, Milner. Milner played at left back, I forgot about that. Lovren, Clavan, Matip. Wait, what's that? Oh no, sorry, this is still 2017, isn't it? Coutinho, Salah. Did Moreno play in that game? Oh, okay. Alexander Arnold. No. Oh, sorry, I spelled it wrong. Did I say Gomez? Joe Gomez. Karius. Robertson. Another English player. Oxlade-Chamberlain. Yep, because he scored in that game. Champions League quarter final. Van Dijk. Solid as a rock. Alisson. Okay, I feel like the teams have picked themselves at this point. Community Shield. Belgium left winger. Oh, Origi. Yeah. Brazilian centre mid. That must be Fabinho. Have we got everyone? Oh, this only goes up to 2021 as well. In fact, this only goes up to the end of 2020. Because that's the draw. And then the other game, the home game in 2021, City win 4-1. Portugal. Is this Jota? Oh, I forgot they played a front four in that game. Alright, so that's all the Liverpool players. And you know what? Because we're running out of time a little bit, I'm just going to skip this. Sod the... Oh, not another bloody ad. Go away. What the hell's this? No! Okay, I'm not looking at bloody ads. I'm not getting taken down. Nope. Okay, guess we have to look at it. No, we don't. Ha ha! Sucks to be you! Right, bugger off. Oh, Sven Bender. I should have got him. I knew that name was in my head. Schmelzer, maybe. Probably not. Oh, did I not say Gundogan? Ah. 180, though, is alright. Which brings us to tier lists. Yeah, we'll go through the signings first, because we've been talking about players quite a lot. And then the other one is games. So we'll quickly speed through these, and then we'll call it a day. Now, I'm pretty sure these are in alphabetical order. So this should hopefully make it easy for me to remember who's who. Although there's a couple of faces I'm looking at here that I don't quite recognise. So, oh well. We'll try and figure them out. Right, starting with A, Adrian. Only ever a backup goalkeeper. You know what? Some of these tier lists are quite harsh. I'm going to change this to decent. I'm going to change that to average. Poor. You know what? I'll change that back. I'll keep that at hard feelings. Everton, number 1 choice. There you go. Which basically means they were so bad they would fit into Everton's team. Is what I mean by that. We'll put Adrian in decent. He did make a few mistakes at times, but he did also play some key roles, most notably in one of his very first games, which was to win us the Super Cup in 2019 in the penalty shootout. That alone gets Adrian into decent. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, again, I said it earlier, if he stayed fit and played the way he played in the first 8 months of his career, then I actually genuinely think he might have... Oh, what's happened to my live stream? Okay, that was weird. My phone was all out of whack. Where do I put... Do I put Ox in decent, or do I put him in... I feel like, regretfully, I have to put him in average, which seems weird to put him below Adrian, because, as I say, the first 8 months of his Liverpool career, I thought he was great. He did do all right in the COVID season, actually. I think he scored 8 goals in the COVID season. He played a lot of games for us. He just wasn't the same player after his first season. McAllister, he's only been at the club for just over a year, but I think he's been really good so far. So we'll put him in great. Alisson, all-time 11, arguably the best goalkeeper in the world. Robertson, revolutionary at left-back. I'm surprised he's not talked about more as being the best left-back. Maybe he's not the best left-back anymore. I'm surprised he wasn't considered at one stage to be the best left-back. Who is that? I'm not quite sure. That's not Thiago. It looks a bit like Thiago, but it's not Thiago. His name... I don't know, actually. Who is that? This is really bad. I feel like I'm about to put this guy in the bottom tier, and I can't remember who he is. His name must begin with B. This is Ben Davies, I think. Nope, sorry, don't know who you are. My bad. Also, sorry, Ben. We signed you in the COVID season because we had no central defenders, and you never played a game for us. So, in fact, you know what? We'll put him in hard feelings. Even though he never played a game for us, he was a really nice guy from the interviews I saw him do. And it's kind of a big rip the way his career's gone, because we basically bought him and never played him. Cody, I think, has only been decent so far. If he played for Liverpool the way he played for the Netherlands in the Euros, then he'd be at least in here. But at the minute, he's not been consistent enough. We'll put him ahead of Adrian, though. Nunes, same problem. I think there's a good striker in there, but he needs to do more. Diego Jota, great player, arguably the best finisher we have at the club. In fact, you know what? I'm going to put him ahead of Alexis. Arguably the best finisher we have at the club, apart from Salah. So good at heading the ball. The amount of headed goals he's got. Yeah, Diego's fantastic. Dominic Solanke. He was a young kid. He was like 18 years old. He couldn't get into the side because the big three were the main three choices for the attackers. Only ever scored 1 goal for us. He's gone on to bigger and better things since he left Liverpool, so no hard feelings. Another Dominic Szoboszlai. At the start of his Liverpool career, I would have put him ahead of Alexis, but I think he's petered off ever so slightly, so I'll still put him in great, but below McAllister. Fabinho, 5 years at the club, solid as a rock as a defensive midfielder. I will, however, be putting him towards the bottom because his last year at the club was really, really poor to the high standards he set. But he was still arguably one of the best. He was arguably the best defensive midfielder in the world before Rodri took over that role. Carvalho, average, scored 2 goals for us, I think. Looked like he could have had a potential future at the club, but didn't kick on, unfortunately. Jorginho, midfield maestro, was one of the first big signings under Klopp. Revolutionised the midfield and scored 2 goals in the ultimate Barcelona comeback. Harvey Elliott, still a young kid, still got a lot to learn, but he's had a decent start to his Liverpool career. I hope he can kick on and nail a spot into the side. He hasn't played a minute yet. He might have barely played a few minutes this season because he's been injured. Konate, great. I would I'd probably put him ahead of these two. I sometimes have a heart attack when he's on the ball because sometimes he looks like he's really not good at controlling the ball, but he's got a good pass on him. Joel Matip. I would put him just ahead of Konate because he was at the club for longer. Such an absolute shame the way injuries affected him, particularly in his final season. Spent the last 6 months of his Liverpool career injured. But yeah, I think he could do the same things that Konate did, which was defend, be tough. Scored more goals than Konate as well. And when he was on the ball, he could bring it forward. I remember he scored a great goal against Leeds once, where he brought the ball forward from the halfway line, just kept running, got to just before the penalty box, passed it to Salah, and then Salah gave him a 1-2 and he scored. For a centre-back to do that, once upon a time that would have never been considered. Costas, decent left-back. He's only ever been the backup to Andy Robertson, but still decent. Oh, Loris. No, sorry. I was going to say no hard feelings, but the Champions League final, sorry. You know what, I'll put you ahead of this, whoever this guy is. Luis Diaz. This might be controversial. I'm going to put him in decent. I'm not going to put him in great. He's shown flashes of brilliance, and this season he started off great, but he still has a lot. He still has a lot to do to become a consistent goal scorer. Marco Grujic, no hard feelings. You were one of the first signings under Klopp. You barely played a game for us. The one goal he scored for us was in one of his last ever games in a League Cup match, and that was in the COVID season. Mo Salah, all-time legend. What more needs to be said? Naby Keita, I'm sorry. I'll put you ahead of Carvalho, but I'll put you below Ox. Whenever he was fit, he actually played pretty decent for us and could score a good goal or two. He was not fit often enough, I'm afraid. Oh, what's this guy's name? It begins with a K, I think. Not Clavan. That's Clavan. He played for us in the COVID season. We bought Ben Davies. Oh, you know what? Sorry, I just realised I should probably put Ben Davies since he never played a game for us. We bought Ben Davies and we bought this guy. This guy's name starts with a K, but he was also not good enough to play for us. But at least, unlike Ben Davies, he did play some games, so we'll put him here. Clavan, yeah, average. He was okay, but he was getting on a bit when he joined Liverpool. He was never going to be the long-term solution, but he was okay. Gravenberch. Before this season started, I would have put him in average. Now, we'll put him here in the middle of decent because he has taken over the defensive midfielder role. He's doing really well right now. I hope he can continue for the rest of this season and beyond. Sadio. Energy. Scorer of great goals. Scorer of important goals. Yeah. Legend. Sepp van der Berg. Barely played a single game for us. So, yeah, you can go here. You can join Everton. He's playing at Brentford now. I'm pretty sure this is Stefan Bajcetic. We'll put him here. He's barely played for us since 2023. I don't even know if he played a game. He might have had a couple of sub appearances in Klopp's final season. Injuries. But before that, he looked like he could have been the future defensive midfielder. I hope he gets back to fitness. He's on loan in Germany this season. I really hope he has a good season. Steven Corker, signed as a centre-back. ended up playing as a striker. You know what? We'll put him. In fact, you know what? We'll put. This is probably bizarre to put him here, but I preferred Steven to this guy. Taki. Again, Taki. Oh my god. Minamino. Takiti Minamino. I'm trying to get myself cancelled here. Sorry. Same problem as the other strikers. Just couldn't get into the front three with Firmino, Mane, Salah. When he did chip in with some important goals though in his final season to help us win the cups. Thiago. We will put Thiago here. Same problem as Keita. Just couldn't stay fit often enough. But when he did play, he was rock solid. Really good player. Great passer of the ball. Yeah. Endo. Endo, we will put... I actually really like Endo. Alright, this might be controversial. I'm going to put him at the bottom of great. I actually wish he was a bit younger so that he could be the first choice defensive midfielder for the new manager this season. I didn't see him have a bad game for us when he played last season. I really like Endo, but it looks like he's probably going to be a part-time player this season. Shaqiri. I've got to put him low, I'm afraid. First 6 months of his career, he was really good, and then something happened, and he barely started any games for us in the 2.5 years he was with us after that. Scored against Everton in the derby in the title-winning campaign, but became a bench player, unfortunately. And last but not least, I didn't forget to skip him, the legend Van Dijk. The question is, what order do I put? These are the top three. I think Mane maybe could be in this conversation, but he's not at the club anymore, so I think he slots in at number 4. The question is, which one of these three has had the biggest impact and deserves to be number 1? I don't think it's Alisson, even though Alisson's the best goalkeeper in the world, and we needed an upgrade on our goalkeeper from Karius. I don't know if he had the biggest impact. I don't know if he was the final piece in the jigsaw. You know what? I'm gonna cop out. I'm gonna take the easy option. Salah for his goals. He scored over 200 goals. You could make a case that maybe it should be Van Dijk as the top of the list here, but goals win you games, and Salah scored plenty of them. So, there you go. There's my... No! Oh God, what did I just do? No. Swap that round. Bloody hell. Yeah, that's my list. That's the order. Right. We're running out of time here, so... Oh God, there's quite a few games to get through here. Right. So these are the all-time classic games. We're probably going to have to speed through some of these. Also, some of these pictures aren't great, so I'm going to try and explain them as best I can. 4-3 Arsenal, the first game of the 2016-17 season. Loved it. Great game. Mad game, but still a good game. 2-1 away at Villa. This was in the title-winning season. We were losing 1-0 with about 87 minutes on the clock, so we only had 3 minutes to go. Robertson scored an equaliser in the 87th minute, and then Mane scored a winner late into the game to win it for us, I think. Is that right? That picture looks like Diego Jota. Is this the Villa? Okay, I'm assuming this is the Villa win from the title season, but if it is, then Jota shouldn't be in this picture. Is there another Villa game? Is there another Liverpool Villa game somewhere in this? I can't see one. I can't see one, so I'm going to assume this is the title one. I'm going to put it in Loved It. because we were losing for most of that game, but it was an incredible comeback, and it was probably one of the key games that was the turning point for us in our battle for the league. We'll put the Bayern game. This was the Champions League in 2019. Mane scored twice. This was on our road to winning the Champions League in 2019. So, great game. Chelsea won... Wait, is that Chelsea? Oh, yes. This was the game that had that brilliant Henderson goal. I'm going to put this in Loved It as well, just for the Henderson goal. One of the best goals we scored under Jurgen Klopp. This was his first... This is Chelsea again. This was his first ever win as Liverpool manager in the Premier League. We'll put it in decent. We were losing until half-time, and then we turned it around. It was still early days. It was decent. We'll also put this. This is the Community Shield win in 2022. It's a pre-season game. Neither side is going full throttle. We'll call it decent. The Palace win. This was in the COVID season. I'm pretty sure this is our record biggest ever away win. So it has to be considered an incredible game. We were amazing in that game. This is the League Cup win in 2022 in the final. It was 0-0. We won on penalties. Our goalkeeper scored the winning penalty. I don't really think you can put a 0-0 higher than decent. So this was the Derby win. You can't really see it. It's Everton 0, Liverpool 1. Mane scored in stoppage time or something. This was Klopp's first away game at Goodison. We'll put it there. This was the FA Cup win. I'll put this one below the League Cup one because this was also a penalty shootout, but I don't think it was as exciting. Leicester 4-0. This was in the league. This was in 2020. This was on Boxing Day. I can remember watching that game thinking we are absolutely on our way to winning the league now. And actually, this game was also significant because at the time, Leicester was second in the league. So this was first v second. And we absolutely destroyed them in their stadium as well. I'm going to actually put this in classic. The fourth goal scored by Trent is also iconic for his celebration in front of the fans afterwards. This is the making of Divock Origi, this game. The Derby win in 2019. We're on our way to another 0-0 draw, and with the help of Pickford, the goalkeeper, bouncing the ball into Origi's head, we score a last-minute winner. So we'll call this incredible. This, I'm assuming, this is the Club World Cup victory. This is one of the few games I haven't seen because it was on at a stupid time. So I think we'll have to put it in decent because I didn't actually. I've only seen highlights of this game ever. 1-0 win at home to City. This was in 2023. This is quite difficult to call better than decent because it was in a season when we were not good. We finished 5th in the league. So we're going to have to put it here. 1-0 Napoli. If we didn't win this game, we would have got knocked out of the Champions League in 2018-19. And if we got knocked out then, we wouldn't have won the Champions League. So a hugely important game. We'll put it here. What's this? Liverpool 2. Is this the... Oh, this is the one where Salah scored an absolute worldie from about 30 yards. Yeah, we'll put this one here. Next to the other Chelsea game, which had a worldie goal in it. Liverpool beating Man United 2-0. This was in 2020. This was the game where after we won it... This was in January 2020. After we won it, the fans were singing, "We're going to win the league." And we were only like halfway into the season and we were already singing. I don't remember the highlights of this game being all that great. But obviously we were pretty darn dominant. I'm going to put it here. Champions League final win against Tottenham. It has to go down. The game wasn't great, but it has to go down as a hugely important game. So we'll put it in classic, but we'll probably put it at the bottom of classic. FA Cup win against Everton. This was Van Dijk's first game for us, and he ended up scoring the winner. So we will put it. We'll put it here. This was the Super Cup win where Adrian played a huge role in the penalty shootout. Again, this was actually quite an entertaining game. So my light just went out. Oh no! The light on my lamp just went out. Oh, that's brilliant. Is this blinding me now? Okay, it's not too bad. Maybe this is the cue to wrap this up a bit quicker. Yeah, okay, we'll put this... This was quite an entertaining game, actually. We'll put this here, actually. This was the Champions League 2018. We thrashed City. We'll put it here. 3-1 against City. This was in the league title winning season. This was the game in which they were our main rivals to challenge for the title. They beat us to it the year before. This was a statement win. We're going to put it here. 3-1 against Man United. This was in 2018. This was Jose Mourinho's last game in charge of Man United before he got sacked. Shaqiri popped up with 2 late goals. We will put this... I don't remember this being a hugely entertaining game, but we'll put it here. 3-2 in the Champions League. I think I'm right in saying this was our first game of the 2018-19 Champions League campaign. So this was the first game in the Champions League of the season where we ended up winning the Champions League. Firmino popped up with a late winner. Let's put this, we'll put this here as well. I'm getting a lot of loved it. Maybe we'll shuffle a few of these round. 4-0 Arsenal. This was early. Okay, this was early in Klopp's tenure, actually. This was when Salah joined. This was one of Salah's first games. This was a really good game, actually. Actually, we'll put that here. Liverpool-Barcelona. This is going top. This is the best game with the best result I've ever seen in my life. I don't think anything's going to beat it, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, this was in... Oh, this was actually Klopp's first... This was in Klopp's first season. This was like less than 6... This was 6 months after he joined. I think this was his first game against Everton, actually. We'll put this here. 4-0 Man United. This was 2022, I believe. We absolutely dominated this game. We absolutely crushed them. We'll put it here. 4-3 City. 4-3 City. This was in 2018. This was the first game that City lost in the league in 2018. They still went on to achieve 100 points. But this was one of their bad days at the office. This was a great game. This game was back and forth. 5-1. Firmino scored a hat-trick in this game. No, not his only hat-trick, actually, but this was another amazing game. We'll put it here. 5-2 win against Everton. This was in the title-winning season. This was another good game. I don't know if I'd put it ahead of Leicester. No, I think I'd put it below Leicester. 5-2 against Roma, the semi-finals of the Champions League in 2018. We'll call this an incredible game. If we'd have ended up winning 5-0, which we were 5-0 in the lead, it might go in classic, but the 2 late goals slightly drop it down. 7-0 at home to Man United. Our biggest ever win against Man United has to go here. 9-0, our biggest ever win, period, against any team in the Premier League. Has to go... Oh, you know what? There are some iconic games. We'll put it here. It feels weird to put it this low in Classic, but, you know, this was the title-winning campaign, amazing game, record-breaking game. Actually, you know what? We weren't great in the first half of this game. It was the second half that made this game so great. So we'll drop this down a little bit. We'll put this in the middle here, actually. 4-1 away at City. This was another one of the early Klopp games. I think this might have only been his second win in the league, actually, as Liverpool manager. But I loved it, actually. This was an utterly dominant game, dominant performance. So we'll put it here. 5-0 away at Man United. I would argue this was even better than the 7-0 win. Classic. 4-2 in the COVID season away at Man United. This was an important result for us. I wouldn't call it a classic, though. I'd probably put it here at the bottom of incredible. Newcastle away. This was at the back end of the 2019 season. I'm pretty sure this was the game we played 3 days before the Barcelona win. We needed to win this game to stay in touch with City, even though it would end up being all for nothing. But it was still a great game. We'll put it here in the middle. Norwich, the 5-4-1. I've already highlighted it. It was pure insanity. Call me crazy. It was a crazy game. This is probably going to be number 2 behind Barcelona. 7-1 away win against Rangers in 2022. Our biggest away win in the Champions League, I want to say. Salah came off the bench and scored a 7-minute hat-trick. This is probably going to go indecent. 1-0 away win against Watford. Emre Can scored the winning goal, and it was an overhead kick. I think it might have been a goal of the season contender, actually. I don't remember a lot about this game, though, so we're going to put it down here. And last but not least, West Brom, the away win in which Alisson scored a last-minute winner. The goalkeeper, I've already highlighted it. We'll put it in incredible. We'll put it... in fact, you know what? We'll bump it up, actually, because it was for Alisson. We'll put it here. So, yeah, without a doubt, number 1 for me has to be the Barcelona. Number 2, Norwich. City in 2018, that was an incredible game, back and forth. Arsenal, they took the lead in that game, and then we bounced. Then we came from 1-0 down to win 5-1. Again, an incredible game. Leicester 4-0 away win, that makes the top 5. Utterly dominant, we destroyed them. 5-0 away win against Man United, the beginning of the end for Ollie. Again, the 7-0 win at home in a season when we weren't even that great. Same as with the 9-0 win. The 7-0 win and the 9-0 win came in the 2022-2023 season, and we finished 5th that season. Is there any of these that I feel like I should move up? I feel like, actually, you know, these 2 tiers actually are quite nice, because these are, I would argue, these are all incredible games, but I can remember all of these for more so for either the individual games themselves or just the score lines and how the games played out. Whereas these ones were just incredible results rather than necessarily the games being amazing. Although most of these games were actually quite amazing. Yeah, you know, I'm pretty satisfied with this. And I'm pretty satisfied with calling it quits in this stream now, guys. So, yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed my my ramblings for the last 2 and a bit hours. How long have we been going now? Just under less than 2.5 hours, so it's not that bad actually. I was aiming for just over 2 hours, so under 2.5 is not bad. yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this stream. I've certainly enjoyed chatting about Klopp. Um, I'm enjoying watching the new Liverpool under Arne Slot, the new manager. But I don't think anything can beat Jurgen, and I don't think anything will beat Jurgen in a long time. The best way that Slot can seem like the perfect replacement to Klopp is if he can win the league title in his first season. I would be very surprised if he did do that, but yeah. Jurgen Klopp, the man who came in and called himself the normal one in his first press conference. He turned doubters into believers. He made the Liverpool fans dream again, and he brought the magic back to Liverpool Football Club. And that was something that this time 10 years ago, probably no Liverpool fan in their wildest dreams could have imagined the journey that he took us on, that culminated in one of the best individual seasons you will ever see from any club in 2019-2020. And that all happened because of Jurgen. I hope you guys have enjoyed this stream, and we'll see you for another one, hopefully in the not too distant future. Bye, guys.